Hey, fifth graders, we're going to be doing some review problems today for area of squares, rectangles, triangles, and parallelograms. So remember, if you need to always look up, or if you need to look up formulas for formula sheets for what we're our shapes for area, always go to our class. You can click on the 2D formula sheet, which is right away in our courses. And then there you have our formulas. So you have the formula for a trapezoid, which we'll cover next week. You have the formula for a parallelogram, rectangles, squares, triangles. B is base, H is height. So you have those if you need them. Um, so we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to talk through a few of these for you so we have some review on what we can do. So remember, areas of squares and rectangles, the area is length times width for both of these. So this is a square, which means that all the sides are the same. So if this side is 4, that means this side is 4, this side is 4, and this side is also 4. So remember, area is length times width. So in this case, it would be 4 times 4. So 4 times 4, and our area is 16 units squared. Units squared because there's no measurement behind it, squared because it's area. Now remember, you can use a calculator for all the problems that you're going to do today. That's completely fine for anything with 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional shapes. All right, so again, this is a rectangle, which means the sides are different shapes. So if this side is 12 and this side is 12, 13, that means we're going to go ahead and put inches here. So again, area is of a rectangle and square is length times width. In this case, it's going to be 13 and 12. So 12 times 13. And this one's actually kind of difficult to do in our head, but it's actually 156 inches squared because we did 12 times 13. Okay. Hopefully that's a little more of a view. Hopefully you're working on memorizing these also. So here's the area of the parallelogram, and this is what you did on Tuesday. So remember, parallelograms, you need to have a height. A height goes from the base of your shape all the way to the top portion. Usually it's a straight line. I have a hard time drawing a straight line, so that could be the height. The height in this case is going to be 8 feet. And then you also have something called a base, which would be like, we'll say 10 feet. Sometimes your sides are labeled. Now, you just have to be careful that you're not using those as your height. Your height has to touch your base, and ours does right here. So the sides wouldn't be the height. All right, now parallelograms, opposite sides are also the same. Okay, so we're going to take base times height. That's going to be our area. Our base is 10 because that's where our height touches, and then our height is 8. So this one would be 10 times 8, and our area would be 80 square feet. Okay. Now it's also going to be the same here. Sometimes your height is drawn on the outside. They might do like a dotted line all the way up. And in this case, this would be 9 and 5. Be careful that you're not measuring the sides. Okay, it's whatever the height touches, and our height goes from the top to here, so how tall it is. So remember, it's base times height. This case, it's 9 times 5, and that's 45. Okay, and now we don't have any label after our numbers, so it's units squared. All right. Now the last one is what we have just got done talking about yesterday or on Wednesday, and this would be the area of a triangle. Now, remember, there's 2 different ways you can solve this. You can do half of the base times your height. You could also do base times height and then divide that answer by 2. Personally, I think this one is easier. but you could use both of them. Okay, so in this case, our base of our triangle is 6. All right, and the height, which is how tall it is, so from here to here, that is 8. Okay, and these are inches. Now, there's no measurement here, which is okay. If there was, maybe say 7, we wouldn't use it because our base is what our height touches, so how tall it is. Okay, so this is 8 times 6, which is 48 inches squared. All right, now that's just if you multiplied it. Okay, now in this case, you have to divide it by 2. So altogether, this would be 24 inches squared. All right. Now remember, the reason that we divide it by 2 or use that as a formula, so base times height divided by 2 as a formula, because if we made a dotted line here, we would create a full square. Okay, so the base of our square is 9, the height is 5. Let's do 6. The height is 6. Multiplied together, we would say the area of this whole shape, so the area of this whole shape that we just did would be 54, all right, units squared. Now, the reason we divided it by 2 is because we found the area of the square, which is base times height. Now, if we got rid of the square and we just did the base and the height, okay, let's make this 9, sorry. The base and the height, let's make that 6. Okay, we would have to divide it by 2 because it's half of the square. So 54 divided by 2, which is, anybody? Does anybody know? Half of 54, 20. Anybody? 27 units squared. Okay, so same would be if we did a shape that looked like this. Okay, so here is our height from the very top of our shape and it touches our base. So in this case, our height is going to be 8. Our base is going to be 4. Okay, so again, it's base times height divided by 2. So 8 times 4 equals 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16 units squared. That would be your answer. Okay, so those are your review problems. If you have any questions, again, review back to the video that I just made or look at the mixtures and solutions, the two-dimensional geometry formula sheet or send me an email. All right, go ahead and go to your assignment. And again, if you have any questions,